Good evening and salutations, my Y&R fans. You know, sometimes these episodes are a little bit more deeper than they appear to be. You take this episode, and while you can do a quick glance and kind of realize that they don't really got a lot going on in this episode, at the same time, watching the conversation, first of all, I feel like in a lot of ways, Noah is just so I don't know. I don't feel like they're not really giving him a lot to do. Yeah, okay, they gave him a romance, they gave him a romance and they look cute together, whatever, I guess. But like, they haven't really been doing anything. When I left watching this show, Noah was talking about how he was struggling with what I don't know, but I felt like that was going to be kind of interesting because up until a point, it didn't really seem like what is his role in the show, you know? And it seemed like it was going somewhere, but now just got relegated back to, oh, he's just the cute couple with Allie. It's like, he talks to Victor about his project, and Victor turns him down. Now he turns him down in this way where he's trying to remind him that he's smart and he's bright and he's going to have many adventures and do different. He's going to try a lot of different things, learn a lot, and hopefully come back to the company with everything he's learned. And that's that. Honestly, tell you the truth, you can really sit there and cut down their conversation into him wanting to make a nightclub and him saying no. Okay, that was literally it. He goes back to Allie, and Allie's like, you can try to Grand Phoenix, but Noah's like, I don't really know. I mean, I got to deal with Phyllis and her drama and everything like that. But Allie's like, listen, it's business. You don't have to like her, you don't have to be a best friend. This is business. So he's like, yeah, I can sit there and do that. And he tells Allie a little bit about a little bit about the family dynamic as far as Victor and how you can be nice, sweet, and kind and have manners, but also be ruthless as hell. Up to a point where apparently he took over the Abbott company, and basically he was like, "Yo, listen, if Jack didn't get that company back, you wouldn't even have a place to work. Like, it was screwed for a while." So yeah, apparently, yeah, I'm still getting used to this dynamic. Apparently, the Newmans and Abbotts, had a feud, kind of like the Cassadines and the Spencers. I don't know what they would actually have on B&B because B&B is in the same universe as Y&R. I can't. I honestly tell you, even when I look at Days, I'm just like they're so connected. It's like, is there really a beef between like the Damaras and the Kyriokises because they're like cousins practically? Um, but yeah, he gives her a heads up like, yo, listen, my family, they can be nice and kind when they want to, but things can get real. Just to kind of give her a heads up in case she wants to back out, but she's like, no, I don't scare off easily, and yada yada yada, and I'm like, okay, I guess we'll see. I don't know. I wasn't exactly impressed by Allie when she first got to town. I was actually kind of annoyed with her, but they had to sit there and do this slow build to get her to come to, Genoa. I was going to say Los Angeles, Genoa City, and kind of be with the family and everything. So I guess that's what they were doing. But I wasn't a huge fan of hers, and I'm still not a huge fan of hers. But I don't really find her too annoying now, so it's kind of middle ground. Um, Now Adam was sitting there talking to Victor. And honestly, to tell you the truth, in some ways it was kind of the same conversation. Adam feels used. He feels, they only call him when they need him for something, and then when they don't need him, I mean, especially seeing how he didn't even find out through his family. that Ashlyn was dead. He found out through chance. When he started talking about, and honestly, to tell you the truth, in the beginning, and I said honestly way too many times, but in the beginning, it almost seemed like Victor was like, okay, yeah, you're just kind of complaining about the same thing over and over again. Oh, chance? Whoa, 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 whoa. You can complain. You can do a little whiny and complain later on. What did you talk about with chance? And he tells him, and all he says, he just reiterates the same thing he said a couple of days ago. You took things too far with Ashland. You publicly humiliated him. You took money. You did him dirty, and especially with Harrison. I felt like that was probably going to. I felt like that was going too far. But to be fair, well, there's really no to be fair. He also lied about cancer, which is just, oof, that still gets under my skin. To this day, it still gets under my skin. Um, But he was like, listen, with everything being said, I try to give y'all a heads up. Now it's funny because at some point Victor just had enough. Okay, and he literally said, "You're starting to piss me off, and that's never a good thing." And I don't know why, but it just made me laugh and just kind of made me realize, like, I like Victor. I don't really understand why, but it's something about whenever he talks. I don't know. I don't know why I find Victor so intriguing, but I really do. That was kind of one of my complaints when I stopped watching the show. Is like I couldn't really find anyone I can connect with that I really like, and I'm still kind of struggling with that. I would say Devon a little bit, but I feel like they just don't really give me enough with some of these characters that just resonate with me, and it's odd because I even like Deacon on B&B, and Liam can be somewhat decent, you know, he's okay. I don't know. He kind of strikes me as an idiot, also, but he has, I guess, the way he talks, like his sarcasm and his humor, can actually be kind of, interesting to watch. So I'm kind of starting to warm up to some of these characters, and to be honest, it took like over a year. So I don't know what the hell is going on with their characters. Anyway, see, he's like, yo, you're pissing me off, and just remember you're still Newman, so no matter what kind of stuff that we're going through, at the end of the day, we got each other's backs. I mean, that's what really matters. Um, Now Nick was sitting there talking to Sally, and Sally was thanking Nick for talking some sense into her. They started talking about Ashland, and Nick gave Sally his version. Well, not his version, but what happened. And Sally wanted to run the story, but Nick was like, listen, this is sensitive. We can't do this, like for reasons. And he had to sit there and get into the reasons why, so this way she wouldn't just sit there and start thinking the worst. Um, I don't think she's going to run the story now, or if she does, she's probably going to sit there and handle it very sensitive. And I understand why she wants to run it because it's a hot story, and if they don't run it, somebody else is going to run it. I'm like, you should probably let the company run it to some extent. After that, he gets a call from, well, he gets a text from Chance. He comes by there, and once again, it starts off where it's like, oh, I just want to sit there and give you, your family or the family a peace of mind or whatever. And Nick's had enough. Okay, Nick's had enough, and I think this is probably like the third time that he's been interrogated by him. He's like, yo, listen, I told you exactly what happened. I didn't hide anything. What is it that you think that like he's getting pissed off? And to be honest, I can understand where he's coming from. He told his events what happened. He told him how unhinged Ashland was. He's like, yo, listen, this guy was dirt, but at the end of the day, I don't want to kill anyone. But if it comes down between him and my sister, well, that dude got to go. he just got to go. So I get his frustration, and you know, um, he kind of just walks away at that point. He's like, "Yo, listen, I'm done." Um, it's funny in the beginning, Nick had to sit there and tell Sally, "Oh yeah, Victoria's away." I mean, she planned that trip like you know a while ago. Yeah, sure, okay. Um, Now Chance calls up Kevin, which is something I'm still getting used to because I'm like, he's Lee. He's okay. He's not Leo in this episode. Okay. Anyway, I don't know. I guess Leo. See, Christ. Kevin is like IT, so maybe he's getting like a bump up or whatever. But he wants. I'll call Leo again. He wants Kevin to sit there and look. I guess he wants Kevin to sit there and talk to this ME, get really close to her because apparently they play D&D. He's like, hey, find out what information that you can and kind of just, make sure you let her know that, you know, this is top priority. Like it goes first. They're thinking, why did you need to use Kevin to try to get information out of the ME or to sit there and tell her to kind of put a rush on it? You're a cop, and this is a high profile case. I don't understand why do you need Kevin as a go between? I don't get that. I don't know. I guess it was supposed to like make some sort of joke or whatever, like, oh, like, he's the cool guy, and like, Kevin's the nerd, like, oh, whatever, things that y'all do that gets together or whatever. I'm like, bro, I'm pretty sure you heard of video games, okay? Let's not sit there and try to act like this is some sort of foreign concept to you. Anyway, came back and he just told him like, yo, listen, we didn't really find anything suspicious, like, blunt force trauma, whatever, and like they didn't find anything out the ordinary that would suggest anything otherwise. Um, One of the things that Chance was bothered by was the security team answered all his questions to a T. Like nobody floundered on anything. Like it was rehearsed. But I'm like, even Nick was like, well, would you want one of them sit there and mess up on the story, or whatever? Like, what are you looking for? Now, my thing is, I don't know how they're gonna wrap up the story. I don't know if they're gonna sit there and be like it was, Ray when he found out it was a heart attack, and he was like, well, it was a heart attack, so that ends that. It's almost like they just want to kind of just clear Ray off the chessboard as far as this show goes. Nothing like, oh, it was a mystery, like somebody killed them or anything like that. It's like, no, it was just, dark and stormy and raining. And he had rain. It was a heart attack. This guy looks like he can run a marathon. Okay, and I'm not just saying that healthy people can't get heart attacks, but I'm like, really? Like, did this character mean so little to this show, where they couldn't even give him like a good story as far as ending? I feel like the way that they took him off this show was just underwhelming. Now, granted, I haven't watched the show I haven't watched the show as long as other people, so I don't know what kind of character Ray is. But I feel like it's sort of like when he had to kill off Michael's girlfriend on GH. If you watch GH, and he was on the phone with her, and apparently like a beam or whatever, she was walking through a construction site, and some beam wound up just hitting her and it killed her. And it was like, wow, you really just thought so low of this character? Did you just sit there and like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I don't know how long this character has been on the show, but I feel like a death should be somewhat epic. Epic. The guy's a cop. Let him die in a line of fire, in a line of duty, or something like that. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like that's about it for the most part. I really do. Sorry, I know this came out late. My day started off late as far as getting home and then doing reviews and then watching it and then making sure every review is good. Um, because I always sit there. Here's the thing: whenever I do these reviews, I look at the time, how long it takes me to watch the show. Like as far as 37 minutes, how long is the review going to be? And if you look at the time, it doesn't seem like it's that long, but I feel like with each show, there's a certain energy. And I have to sit there and make sure that I'm just not just giving my all to whatever review that I put out, but I don't want to sit there and say to try to capture the energy, But like, you look at this episode and you didn't really have a lot that went on in this episode at all. Adam and Victor fought about the same thing that they probably been fighting about before I started watching the show. Okay, it got to a point where even Victor was like, yeah, hey, you just sound like a broker. I feel like I could just record you at this point and you could just pretty much say the same thing. And I don't even have, anytime you want to start an argument, I can just sit there and just play this recording. So, not a lot happened in this episode, but sometimes I gotta sit there and look deeper. Especially in this show, because I felt like this show literally gave me the least amount of stuff that's going on. As far as anything interesting, anything popped off. Like yesterday's episode was a little more interesting when they got to Nate and Devon. But today's episode was like, oh, Noah pitched an idea. And then Victor turned them down. And it took like 16 minutes to do it. This show's been on this long and this is what you're giving me? Sometimes I do kind of look at this stuff and I'm just like, I like to believe that again, when you come into these shows and you start watching these shows, just even as a newcomer, you're like, I want to sit there and check out Y&R. I don't feel like the show should be as boring as it is sometimes. You know, that's why sometimes, like with this episode, I really had to dig deep because I'm like, not a damn thing really happened. When you look at it at surface level, nothing really happened in this episode. Noah told Allie about the family dynamics because she's an Abbott, she's a Abbott, I guess, or Abda, but Abbott. Yeah, I know I had it right the first one. An Abbott, and he's a Newman, and so it's got that whole Romeo and Juliet thing going on. Oh, okay, cool. I see what they did there. But again, sometimes I gotta sit there and look at it a little bit deeper. And what this episode gives me, because man, was this episode not giving me much of anything. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see everyone in the next video.